Do you get the recording?
Yes.
Okay.
I can see it. Please let us know when.
Super. We have got 112 attendees, 113, 117, 29.
So we are in the air.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, many people have started to join. That's fantastic.
Yeah, 173 already. 2 hands up are also there.
All right, excellent. That's great. We'll give another 3 minutes before we start.
Okay. Somebody is saying hello to Mr. Ahilan S. To all panelists and attendees, he's saying hello. Okay, Celine. Great.
Another 1-2 minutes. We are all set.
Okay.
So we have 200 attendees already. Another 2 minutes. We will give them just to sign in.
We've got Manila, we've got India, we've got Turkey. A special thank you to Arvind.
Oh, special thank you to all of you for making it
Special
happen.
thank you to all of you. Yes.
We've got Pakistan, we've got France. France, nice. That's very encouraging. Like, you know, Iran.
Where
Wow.
do you see from the chat or from the?
Yeah, from the chat. Yeah.
Manila, Azerbaijan, Lebanon.
Yeah, that's nice.
Tehran.
Wow. We're broadcasting like globally right now.
Yes.
We have already 1,000 registrations, so
1,000 registrations.
That's correct. Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Are we the biggest online facade event right now?
I don't know, but well, we are officially live now on Facebook as well.
Fantastic.
So if anybody wants to still check out, they can go ahead and see it on Facebook Live on the Technal India webpage.
Because says hi. Yeah. Okay, so one thing before we start, once we have all the attendees online, we'll ask them to raise hands when they want to ask a question. Otherwise, they keep their hands down.
Absolutely.
Else we get confused.
Okay, I will not during the demo. I will not check the raising hands. So
yes, that we will do.
Please interrupt me or let me know if I should wait a second and please narrate their questions or messages.
Definitely.
So since my screen will be online, I don't want to switch to any messaging window.
Yes, please.
Okay, guys, we are 3 o'clock on the dot, Dubai time. Welcome to the Technal Facade webinar series. I'm Arvind Kumar, the Business Development and Pre-Sales Manager at Hydro Building Systems Middle East. With me today, we have with us my co-host, Isha Sharma, who is the Marketing Manager at Technal India, and a very big, warm digital applause to our speakers. We have Eugene Korsch, Technical Director from Facade, and our wonderful colleague, Thomas Hinzenkamp, who is our Product Manager for IT from Hydro Building Systems also. I'm really excited, really thrilled to have all of you on board today. We have almost 1,000 registrations for this webinar. And we are truly excited to have all of you on board for this Technal Facade webinar series. Before I start, I would like to give my gratitude and thanks to all the frontline workers who have been helping and assisting all the COVID patients and the situation around us. Hats off to them, and we dedicate this session also to all the wonderful sacrifices you are doing. As we wait for people to sign in, I just want to give a quick heads up to what and who Technal is for people who you don't know. Technal belongs to Hydro Group from Norway, who is one of the world's largest single source aluminum company, who has business interests right from bauxite to alumina to energy. We make one of the most cleanest energy from water, hence the name Hydro. We make our own primary metal, we make our rolled products, aluminum sheets, foils, and extrusions. And under the extrusion system is where we come in as Hydro Building System Middle East and Technal. Technal as a brand, we are here for more than 70 countries in 5 continents, and this is our 60th year to be in this market, and we're really excited, and this is makes us one of the most experienced worldwide leader in aluminum glazing systems. And we like to call ourselves an architect's partner for the most complicated challenges they would have on their building facades. In terms of product range, we have window systems, door systems, sliding systems, facade systems, sun shading systems, handrails, aluminum fire-rated doors, windows, curtain wall, bullet and blast-proof systems in aluminum, internal partition systems, and we work with an exclusive range of colors for all of our architect partners. In terms of headquarters, we have our colleagues sitting right now from Toulouse. All our development, R&D, and sourcing happens from Toulouse. And from there, we operate across all these 70 countries, and especially Middle East and India, where we are also operating from. Without further ado, that brings me to a warm welcome to all of you for our first episode. And for our first speaker, we have with us a very dear friend, Eugene Korch, who is the technical director at Facade. He's got a wealth of knowledge and experience in the facade business. He is a rock star on social media, on digital communication. And when we were talking about a theme, it was Eugene who came up with this term called Facades Online. And boom, we found that this is the most appropriate theme to have given the current situation. In terms of the format of this presentation, we will have Eugene to speak for the next 30 minutes. And Eugene also is going to open up his Q&A session on Instagram. He's going to do some live interactions through Instagram. And as Isha mentioned earlier, if you have a question to ask, please raise your hand and fill in your question, and we will have you also to directly speak to the speaker as well. And for the first presentation, without further ado, Eugene Korch, you have with you almost 340 people live right now, and the floor digitally is yours.
Thank you very much, Arvind. Could I please get the access to the screen? If you can just, switch off the sharing so I can start my screen sharing. All right. Okay, guys. So the format of the presentation would be as following. I will show the video for 5 minutes, which will be the webinar, and then we're going to just launch into questions and answer session. So we're going to start right now. 5 sec, something went wrong. Okay. In an offline world of facades, you are in front of a person physically to communicate something, whether it's your client or the other design team member. In an online world, you don't really have to be in front of them, but you will have to be on the screen in front of them. And that is very liberating because you can be pretty much anywhere in the world to communicate something to them. And you don't even have to sit in front of the computer in order to be on the screen in front of other people. For example, let me give you a quick overview of the facade balcony design. This is a bolted-on balcony, and it's less than six square meters. That's why it can be self-drained. It doesn't have to be positively drained like the one above with the overflow pipe and the positively drained rainwater pipe you can see on your screens right now. The balustrade, as you can see, is laminated glass, but something that is very important to note here is that there is no cap above the glass, and that's why you can see the algae building in between the two glasses, and that can compromise the PVB interlayer. It's also worth noting that right now in the UK, glass balustrade is not allowed, and you can only have a metal balustrade. This is due to new fire safety regulations. Another thing is decking. You can see over here that this one is combustible decking, and the service life is obviously not as good as metal decking that would be, and this is something that we now have in the UK as a metal decking, as well as the soffit for smoke requirements. Not everything about the balconies can be explained while you are standing on the balcony, but a lot can be explained via screen sharing. You see, from the legal standpoint, balconies are right now considered to be part of the facade, attached balconies. And that is why they need to comply with all the fire regulations. And that's why we don't have glass balustrades anymore. Laminated glass is not allowed, as well as the decking that can burn is not allowed, and the soffits combustible is not allowed. That's why we have non-combustible decking, soffits, and balustrade. But balconies also have to comply with all the compartmentation requirements. It used to be acceptable to install cavity closer below the balcony to SFS downstand lightweight steel frame. Right now, best practice detail is to install the downstand to ensure the continuity of the fire compartmentation. So you can see on your screen right now the kind of widely used detail that we currently have in the UK. As well, it's also recommended to overlap the cavity closers within the downstand zone, like shown on the screen right now. Okay, so we've done a tour, we have shared screen. Let's have a test, shall we? Welcome to FAT Temporary Testing Facility. So we have positioned this window in London, and we have cranked up the temperature inside to 21 degrees. And outside, as you can see right now, it's warm, but sometimes it is -2 or -4 on a frosty London morning. And we can see over here we have mold all around here, but also we can see the risk of condensation in the location of the bottom of the glass spacer. This is a very common situation in the UK, and all the warranty providers are aware of it, and that is why there's new rules for condensation risk analysis in the UK with a certain boundary conditions. If you want to know more about that, you have to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And also, more importantly, why these calculations are so important for rain screen cladding to the SFS lightweight steel frame buildings. So you can see that the issue is with this profile here. It's not fully thermally broken. There is a thermal break over here. However, in here, it is completely exposed to the external environment. So there's a gap in this location. And that is why the dew point is getting inside. You can see it over here. And all of that surface is compromised. There's a condensation in this area over here. By the way, I'm sharing my desk with you right now, and that's one of the tools that you can do online. This issue could have been avoided altogether by slightly altering the detail itself. As you can see on your screen right now, there's an interactive model of similar building, but where this area was completely covered with insulation. So that's why there is no risk of condensation in that area here. So I've done a tour, an experiment, shared my screen, shared my desk, used interactive 3D detail, and all of that to communicate the design of the balcony condensation fire considerations in less than 5 minutes. The point is that you can pre-record your presentations and focus on questions and answer sessions. What else? Branding.
Fassaden, Architektur, Technik.
Hello. So basically, that was the presentation. I hope that everything was fine with the sound. Everything is worked fine. Arvin can tell me if that was not the case. So the whole idea of having the presentation in that format, of pre-recording it, is basically usually would take that 45 minutes for a presenter to be somewhere on the stage or in front of a screen like that. And that will take 45 minutes to communicate certain amount of information, even though the most amount of value is actually in questions and answer session. And as well as if you imagine that scenario where you're on stage and the presentation goes for 45 minutes, it's much easier for people to basically leave, whereas online it's slightly less awkward to stand up and leave. Just basically click and let's go for the next webinar. So that's basically the workflow in 5 minutes to explain something that we should be taking 45 minutes usually, with the power of video. And that's going to be, for most of the people going forward online, it will be videos, it will be 3D details, it will be for sure more interactive. So that's basically it. Let's go to the questions and answer session straight away, because we have received quite a lot of them on Instagram. Most of the questions were about what software are we using for creating the 3D details on Instagram. We're going to come back to that slightly later because there will be a presentation by Thomas and he will be talking about software. And there's also was a poll, and I'm not sure if Arvind, would you like to start poll about the software? What software people are using?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So what I'm going to do now, Eugene, I'm just going to put up the first poll, and it's right now online. So please, all the attendees and participants would love to have your feedback. There is a poll right now, which is open. Please feel free to set in your answers. That would be great to know.
Fantastic. Okay, the next question that I currently received, that I received on Instagram, was how to do thermal calculations on window jams and to get the PSI value. Well, I think that in my video, I have explained how usually the condensation would work in less than 1 minute, the condensation risk analysis in general. There will be much more content about the condensation in general on on our portal, eugenecorp.com. If you can go there and subscribe to the far more content there. But in general, condensation, as I described, it's a fairly new area in the UK. It's because there's lots of failures like we have in my flat, which is a huge issue. For example, Technal windows, the aluminium ones, do not really have that issue right now because they're all thermally broken and all the systems are tested and technically designed. Then the most of the software questions I will answer in the end. Window wall systems. Again, no all the questions for some reason were about the current environment in terms of online. Window wall system, we do like it, providing that, again, thermal bridges are designed out. But I'll go to the next one in terms of the 3D details. Why do we do them 3D details? Why we use them so much? Right now, it's very important how people are communicating online. It used to be a communication between the people in the meeting room. It's a personal communication. And this, right now, we don't have that option to explain to someone via sketch, unless you're sharing the desk, as I showed in my video, with the camera like this one. So the camera would be pointing down to the desk and you can just, share it online via Zoom. That is basically possible. You can just switch between the cameras. So you can have something here. You can have a sketch that would explain a condensation risk analysis, the dew point, the boundary condition. You can have it in front of everyone like that. And if you're a hand sketcher, like I'm not, I'm horrible at hand sketching, you should be using something like this to communicate to people. It is very important, the type of communication, the facades in general, facade engineering is more cultural than it is technical. And the way you communicate your ideas is very, very important. Another aspect of 3D details, would be that it's visually represents all aspects of assembly to all stakeholders, and you can explain assembly quicker. It's not just nice looking images. However, that's something that people don't understand, that, you know, that the way that we render them is not as important. And pretty much why we don't really show the workflow, the entire one. We just show this, the snapshots of that workflow. For example, in that video that we have posted on YouTube, and I'll share the screen in a second. Share screen. Sorry. Okay, so that's the, I'll just switch off the sound. There is no shortcut. As we said in our, if you want to use hand sketches, you can do that as a test your ideas. But in general, we usually, you know, draw everything in CAD. That's always the case. That's how we think. Then basically you can design it in any software, and we'll come back to the software at a later stage when Thomas will be talking about. And render packages, there's a lot of them. You can pretty much get the decent results out of everything these days. We do recommend not to spend a lot of money and use Blender, sometimes for visualizations, but in general that can be pretty much anything. So that would be another questions answer. I will not answer any technical questions such as CLT and maybe the stresses in glass in this webinar. It's more about communication. But if anyone right now can start asking.
So Eugene, I've got the 75% of the people have voted on the question which you had asked earlier. Which BIM software do you use? We have Revit at 36%, ArchiCAD 3%. Some people are still using AutoCAD, like you mentioned, 45%, SketchUp 5%, Tecna 2%, Bentley 1%, Photoshop 2%, and others about 5%. So clearly, majority of them are AutoCAD and Revit, and followed by Revit and SketchUp.
Okay, so our poll on Instagram worked out slightly different. 558 people voted out of 2,700 people viewed. AutoCAD is at 22%, Revit 44%, ArchiCAD 20%, and SketchUp is 13%. So yeah, I think that's it, between the two, AutoCAD and Revit. It's a split. So in theory, yes, you can do the 3D details in Revit, like we do. But I would suggest that it's slightly more open. But you see that for the 3D details, there's more freedom if you would design something them in SolidWorks or Inventor, I would say. Because this is more of a kind of automotive industry software. It will allow you more control over, you know, how you detail a particular flashing or fixing. It probably would be slightly better. But sure, why not? But the problem is that we don't really want to kind of everyone to start doing 3D details without learning the 2D aspects of it. Is again, all the design happens still in people's head and in the senior engineers' heads, and that's usually a 2D information. Yes, we visualize it in our head in 3D, but then just put in 2D kind of CAD sketches, and then we develop the 3D detail to communicate. 3D details is a purely communication tool. Okay. Purely communication. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I don't want to go into anything detail. You know, we are going to talk about the Revit software and, you know, Technal 3D now, or we can just jump to questions and answers session in the chat. It's up to you, Arvind.
Maybe we can pick one or two questions. I see some questions here. Maybe Isha, would you like to ask the questions?
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Eugene, for the most wonderful presentation here. So I see most of the questions are technical And as we said, we're not going to take the technical questions in this session. So what I see mostly on the tools is we have our friend Srinivas asking what's the impact and future of using artificial intelligence in facade communications.
I can answer that. AI is an interesting one. I think right now in the current environment, let's talk about current environment with this pandemic thing. All companies split. There are companies who were online and there are companies who were offline. There's not something that no one has noticed. There were companies with data, I mean, it depends on what part of the world, and who didn't really hoard it. For example, we are collecting a lot of data from our current projects, and we tag it. All details are tagged, and that's why I actually just I'm militant against hand sketches. You cannot attach any information to them. They're dead, and just Photoshop layers. So when you do the detail, you can, in theory, you can analyze the raster images, but then when the detail then can be future analyzed with the neural network, you have to prepare your database already now, and you have to be ready for this massive switch. Right now, we already see that us being predominantly digital and switching very, very quickly. I mean, we haven't switched. We always have been digital as a company. As you can see that you wouldn't really find too many hand sketches online produced by us, or in general. So from us, it would be much easier to train the network to design a certain detail, and that is possible because when you start designing detail, you will see the pattern. If you will start designing the detail to avoid thermal breaks, to make sure that the certain elements of a certain thickness of the structural size, the neural network in the future will be analyzing that and it will understand it. It's obvious that that it would be, and you have to also tag them per detail and per project. Neural network will also recognize certain buildups in rain screen and will understand that if this will achieve 1.8 or 1.8 watts per square meter Kelvin U value or not, just by looking at visually. So I think that yes, AI will be a huge thing, not just now, but very, very soon. And you don't know how to prepare for it, but other than hoard a lot of data. That's about AI, I'd say. That's my view on this.
We'll take just one more question on these lines. So we have a question from Mr. Michael Tan. He's asking how important is it to know software for facade detailing in the future?
Not at all. Absolutely not at all. Not at all. I am absolutely horrible in every single software that our company is using, but I have a good understanding of how it's done. It just basically you need to have understanding of what software does, how it does it, and that's the thing. Actually, when people say that that we are using a certain software, no, if you're gonna go to Instagram and just gonna scroll down to all the sort of at the bottom, the details were done in entirely different software. They were done right now. That's different, and you have to constantly rinse, repeat, rotate, and just try new ones and everything else. At some point, this will. Yes, I think that at some point that we have also tried 3D Max. Do you remember that was a thing, 3D Max, right? Yes. So right now, who's using it? No one really. So no, I think it's very important right now. If you can, one software that I really encourage you to start learning is basically video software. Video editing will be huge. Yeah, it will be absolutely huge. What you can communicate in 5 minutes, and the quality of that communication will have a massive impact. And right now, if you can subscribe, you can go and subscribe to our social media in general, and the portal that we are creating, and the website. You can find it on everywhere online, eugenecork.com. If you subscribe there, there will be far more videos there. There will be a lot of videos, probably done very useful, and there will be videos on technical side, not how to draw detail, no, why to draw the detail in a certain way, how how the calculations are made and why they need to do certain calculations, how to prepare the detail for the calculation, for for thermal one, or in general, a general overview. There will be general overview of design process. As I said, the main thing of facade engineering is not technical. It is purely cultural. I think that's discipline, knowing how the subcontractors work, how the packages are split, what is the decision-making process for different stakeholders, what architects are interested in, what planners. In UK, planning is a big thing, right? It just, you can't change a certain thing later on. You have to design it this way now, and you can't change it further in the future. So you have to build a certain level of flexibility into your details. So how you do it is very important. I think that's just this knowledge in general, like the industry lacks. Everyone is just talking about sustainability and future materials and everything else. But that's not how you get hired. That's not how you're gonna get a job. Like, that's in the industry. Like, and to be honest, for us, it's a huge problem. We can hire anyone. There's literally no one to hire who would understand how to actually design a detail, that it can be built by a subcontractor, and the planner. There will be no risk for planning, and we don't really. And again, these things are it's a very difficult thing for us. Just in general, the resources and training. Right now, I think that it's a big issue. It's a big issue.
Let me butt in with one question before we have you continue on your Q&A later on. This is coming from the webinar chat. Do you apply the level of, this from Jacob Drachman, who says, do you apply the level of detail from your 3D details to the entire envelope model to provide quantities, communicate to construction, etc.?
We work on the construction side less and less right now, because it just lacking resources. But when we design for, and probably I can see that someone from our ex-clients, I think, saying in the chat, they know how heavy our model is. We split them in multiple models because we can't even rotate them sometimes, and we are just constantly revolving in that process of designing. Sorry, not the process of building the model with the amount of information. The information that's built in BIM model should be more numerical and data-driven rather than visual. So the 3D details that we produce, if you're gonna just completely do that job entirely with this kind of level of fixings, gaskets, and everything, yeah, you're just not be able to rotate that model. This is something that you need a whole server room to do. But then, in general, certain details that have to be designed that way. But in general, I think that just to bake in that information into the how many fixings per bracket. You don't have to model these fixings; they have to be just basically numerically attached to that particular bracket when you build the model for construction stage. So that's a huge misconception that level of detail is visual for BIM. Right? People say, like, that shouldn't be that. It can be, but I think it's probably just a good thing to have, but not necessarily.
All right, brilliant. So we're gonna now have you pause, and then we're gonna stick to some more questions. I recommend all the panelists to use the Q&A tab to fill in your questions,
sure,
so that we can come back again to Eugene and have him to take on them. Eugene, thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Was extremely insightful. I would now like to quickly invite our second speaker, Thomas Hintenkamp, our Global Product Manager for IT from Hydro Building Systems. He's going to take you on to a journey of what you exactly said now, to talk about tools, and one of those interesting tools which he's going to present us today. Thomas, over to you.
Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you, Arvind. So I will try to share my screen, and I should not forget the good settings. So, okay, here we are. So I'm going to show you a presentation which is prepared in PowerPoint, but the good news is that there are only 2 slides containing points in the PowerPoint. The rest is videos where I will show you different software in work. And I'm trying to give you at the beginning an overview and later some details about the possibilities. So, as Arvin mentioned, I'm working at Hydro Building Systems and I'm responsible for IT development, and I'm responsible also for the BIM strategy of Hydro, Technal, and the other brands. So I am originally an architect and I'm working in that business for 20 years, and I made several solutions for architects and for different manufacturers. So I gained a lot of experience what architects would like to use and what they would like to have, what manufacturers would like to have on the market, and what I show you, what the Technal solution, what I will present now will be based on these experience, and I hope you will enjoy it. So basically, we have 2 different solutions. We have Tex3D, which is a product configurator. There are 2 appearances of Tex3D. We have a standalone version, which you can download and run on your computer. And there is another version embedded in Revit, so which you can launch from Revit, and it will work in Revit, and it will generate its output in the Revit environment. And a slightly different solution is the ArchiCAD BIM library, which I will show at the end. And I have seen the result of your answers to which software are used most. So I see that most BIM users are working on the Revit platform, only little are working on ArchiCAD platform. So the biggest part of the demonstration will be made on Revit, and the small part at the end will be on ArchiCAD, and I will also show the possibilities for SketchUp users and all the other BIM platform users. So I would like to ask Arvin to make another questionnaire in the poll to ask the professions you have. So if you are architects, if you are other structural designers, or if you are facade consultants or metal builders. So it was a good information for us to know what is the experience of our audience.
Yes, so I'm going to have a new poll for the audience.
Okay, and while you are submitting your answers, I am continuing the presentation. And now this is one of the 2 slides containing only script and textual information. This is a summary of the first part of the presentation. So at the beginning, I will show you the concept of Tex3D and show you what was our goal to develop this software and what are the different steps Revit user can use this software and what can he do with that. And that means the first step will be that we show how a Technal construction can be configured. The second step will be that we show how this construction can be placed in Revit. Then I will show how representation possibilities are there in 2D and 3D, namely the level of details. And then how an existing construction can be modified in Tex3D and replaced again in the project. And after that, I will show the possibility how the products and how the whole entire model of the building can be used in the virtual reality environment, and how this virtual reality can be used to sell flats, to show the possibilities, to show simulations, and so on. And after this session, I will go into details and show a little tricks and further possibilities of the software.
Thomas, sorry to cut you in. There seems to be a rectangle on your PPT.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
Okay. It's clear.
Yes.
Super. I just have 80% of the voting done now. We have 26% architects, 23% facade consultant, 21% metal builder. We have main contractor 2%. We have developer 4%, and from the academia is 4%. So majority of architect, facade consultants, and metal builders. That's your major crowd today.
Okay, thank you very much for your feedback and welcome. Okay, and now I will start the presentation of the software. Just a few words how this whole software started and what was our original plan for this software. So Text3D is a simple configuration software which was planned to use by architects originally. And the concept was that who is familiar with the Technal products, who is a metal builder or who is a facade designer knows exactly how many pages do the Technal documentation contain, the fabrication and the conceptual documentation. So regarding all the series of the Technal products, we can talk about several thousand pages of documentation which describe the possibilities and all the details of the construction and all the options. So our concept was that architects are not familiar mostly with these documentations and with these options. So our goal was to create and design a software which does not need to know as much information about the products. So we provide them choices after each other, and we provide them only choices which can they answer. So we converted the decisions while the design process to architectural language and not asking about gasket names and profile names and compatibility of the profiles and gaskets. We manage it in the background automatically. We only ask them questions which they understand, if we should see a minimal solution, or they would like to see a visible frame, or if they would like to design a structural glazing or what kind of caps they would like to use. So we investigated the Technal product range, and we made decisions in the software, and then we hid a lot of decisions from the architects and made them automatically. So now the show begins, and I will show you the configuration of a simple curtain wall. So this is the Text3D startup screen, the curtain wall part. Now I start a grid definition method where I enter the number of rows and columns. And now I enter the dimension of the rows I would like to modify. I can select components of this curtain wall anytime, profiles, infills, and all the other elements. And selecting it, modifying it, selecting and configuring it, I always have the choices on the right side of the screen, and I always have the possible tools on the left side of the screen. And you can see I made the geometry design at the beginning, then I deleted a transom, and then I placed a door, and now I'm changing a glass region to a panel. At the same time, you can see also the choices of the different glass panels and also the panels. And this is the way how the construction can be close up and modified. We always work with default values. So if you start a construction, it will be generated with default values, and these default values can be modified while the configuration. You could see I can make selection of individual parts of the facade or I can make global modifications. So for example, before I have modified the color of the entire facade, but I have also the possibility to select one profile and change the color of that, or change the profile reference of that cap, for example. So the next step of the overview is how this curtain wall will be placed in Revit. So now you can see that I finished the configuration, and now I click the Create and Place Family button in the software. And now an export settings dialog appears where I did not make any modification. I use the standard settings here. We could go into details, but I will not do it now. What others can you set here? But if you download the software, you can experiment with that. So now with the place family, and then if you say OK in that dialog, then you can place this curtain wall in Revit. And this curtain wall is a curtain grid systems in Revit, close up with the Technal profiles and the Technal panels. So these are a facade or a curtain wall which you could have designed in Revit with the corresponding steps. So in the family editor, you could have created the profiles, and you could have created the panel, and you could have composed it with the standard Revit tools. But to speed it up and to spare time, we made the configuration on the Text3D side, and it takes time. So now this, it was a little bit accelerated. So placing this element requires 30 seconds or 1 minute. But at the end, this was done automatically by the software. You can see here that I can select the profiles, I can select the infills, and then if I go to the 3D view, then you can see that the model of this curtain wall appeared the same way as in the Text3D software. And you can see, you can select the individual components just like they are standard native Revit components. So this was the way this construction was placed in Revit. And on the next presentation, I will show how in 3D and how in 2D they are represented. So now you can see the high level of detail representation in 3D. And you can see that we do not use really the level of detail 400 or 500 here. There are limitations in Revit, and nobody is interested about the real profiles here in the Revit model. So we are trying to spare model size. But here on the 2D, we manage all different level of details, and the high level of detail contains the real profiles. So that means if you would like to see details, you have to go on the floor plans, and if you want to see the model, then we use simplified models, not to have too big families. You can also see that we have handles, so handles are visible on the high level of detail on both 3D and 2D. Next step will be how we can modify and work further on these constructions. So now I have this placed curtain wall in Revit, and I go to the add-ins page, and then I open it again in Text3D, and I have the same design what I saved earlier, and I can continue simply the work on that environment. So the same way I can continue selecting profiles, infills, modify dimensions. Now you could see that I have placed a new mullion, and I've modified the fields on the left and right sides of the mullion. So anytime I want to make a modification, I come back to the same place where the original design had been made. So now you can see a global modification. So now I will change color again. It hasn't got too much sense changing it so many times. I only wanted to show you how overall modifications can be done. And at the end, you will see all the original curtain wall had been replaced, and now this new design had been placed. So this was the modification, and at the end, you have the model of your Tecna windows, doors, sliders, curtain walls. You have the whole building, and then you will have the possibility. Oops, sorry. Sorry for the sound. So you can see the different simulations in the model where you can, that is Twinmotion, and the model from Revit has been saved using the Twinmotion plugin, and the BIM model containing the Technal construction has been saved to Twinmotion, and in Twinmotion the sun simulation can be done, and a lot of simulations can be done in virtual reality, and customers can come into the flats and see the spaces and walk around before buying the flats. So it is a wonderful tool to use in the sales and marketing activities of the different constructions and buildings. So this was the concept, and now I show you some small details. Very important that what I show you here, we have a couple of tutorial videos available. So what I show you here, you can also watch on the videos. You can download them from YouTube. At the end, I will show you where they can be found. You can also download the software. You can download standalone TextReady. You can download the Revit TextReady. All of them are free. If you download them, you can use that for 30 days without registration. And after that, you can get a free license for that. And after that, you can use it still free, but without any restriction. But at the end, I will also show you where to download and how to get the software. So in the next part, I will show you some details about the further possibilities of TextReady. First part, how I can convert existing Revit facades to Technal facades. Then I will define corner solutions and angles in curtain walls. Then I will show you tricks how you can customize your facade. Then I will show us some possibilities to define a door composite construction, or it will be a shop front. And then I also show how the result of the configuration can be saved in SketchUp or any other 3D format. And then I will show another door composite construction, which contains stacking up components and how you can design a little bit more complex element. So I will start the demonstration. So this is the Revit example video and model. Sorry, the example model, and it has built-in rectangular profiles in their facade, so very simple ones. And it was too fast. I go back to the beginning. So this is the Revit model with the simplified facades. And then I select an existing Revit facade. And then I launch TextReady. And TextReady will read the geometry of this facade and will use its default settings to place on the coming geometry, and will place the default profiles on that construction. And now I can continue the design where the designer of the Revit model has finished. So I do not need to enter all the details here. I can use everything ready. And okay,
sorry,
no, I will not touch it.
I just want to let the audience know that the low resolution is only because of the bandwidth, but in principle, you would get high quality images when you're working on this. Thank you.
Okay, so here I changed the color of this facade, and I will change the cap of these mullions. I select one and set the select similar button.
Sorry to chip in, Thomas. Maybe, since it is not a continuous video, maybe you can remove the optimization for screen and then it will be in high resolution.
Okay.
If possible, it will be all right.
Should I share it again?
Yeah.
Okay, I share it. So I should remove the optimization. Okay.
Yes, if we can, since it's not the continuous video, it will come much better that way.
I see. Okay. Can you see it now?
Oh, perfect. Absolutely clear.
Okay. Okay. So where I was, I modified the caps, and now I'm selecting I was selecting fields, and I defined went outs for the fields, and now I changed it to 3D view and rotated the whole construction, and now I can select the frames, and also the select similar helps me to change all the mullions at a time. So I could continue the configuration. That was enough showing the concept. And now if I place it the same way as I did before, this facade was replaced with the real Technal components, and you can see the geometry of the it doesn't do what I want to do, but so you can see the geometry of the caps, you can see the geometry of the mullions. So it really contains the 3D representation of the Tecna facade. So the next is to define angles in the facades. So I create a facade again, starting from the grid definition. Now I will not spend time to define the sizes of the fields. I can select the cap or the frame, and then the angle button helps me to define an angle for this mullion. And there are not too many questions here. So of course, these are very complex parts of the construction, but there are a lot of rules in the background. What I do is that we manage them automatically. There is the first time we open, this is in the more options, that is the construction settings dialog box, where you can set up a lot of defaults. Here, you, for example, you can define the type of the corner. So you can see you have split mullions for corners. You can see the single frame for a corner. You can define a composed frames for the corner, but you can also define a glass-to-glass connection for the corners. So these are the presets for the corner situation. And later I will show you that how these corners can be set individually. So now I choose glass-to-glass solution. And if I click on the corner, now I can create a corner with two mullions or two frame profiles. Then I can select the frame profile itself and change its size, and you will see it will affect on the whole construct on the neighboring infills. And this is the way how you can set up your construction with default values and with individual corners and individual mullions. So this was the way how we created angle ingot curtain walls. And here at the end, you can see this is the limitation of Revit. Revit does not support the very complex corner elements. So what we do here is that we place the standard Revit corner elements to the placeholder of the Technal corner mullions and other elements. But the situation is not so bad. So this can be used for the fast design. We also have the possibility to save our curtain wall as a generic family. And if we save it as a generic family, then we will save it with the Technal profiles. And in that case, it will be a really detailed and really a Technal facade what we save. So although Revit has limitations in the modeling, with the generic families and that you can set in the save family dialog box, you can have a model in your Revit project which is really very detailed and very Technal look. So the next video is how we can manage the different aspects. So basically the default is the grid system where horizontal and vertical caps are placed with rectangular caps, but we have tram vertical and tram horizontal, or horizontal line and vertical line solutions where you can define vertical and horizontal caps as primary caps, and the rest will be quasi-structural glazing. And you have also a possibility for customization. So in that case, you have to select the frame and you can change the cap solution to a hidden cap solution. And now you can see it's a mixture of grid system and structural glazing facades. And of course, the same way you can select the infills and configure the different applications here. So the next one will be a composite construction definition. So we will define a door construction. You can see at the beginning, you could see in the beginning, we were choosing the window and door page to start and not the curtain wall page. And here with the very similar actions, you can define your construction. Again, not too many questions. You could see now I have placed a division which resulted a transom on the fixed fields and resulted sash divisions on the door at the same position with one single click. And now if we go on, we can change the profiles of these transoms. Again, select similar button, and now you can change the profile of it. And now I select the same on the sash division part. And now I have this construction with these modified profiles. And now on the next video, I will show you how this construction can be saved as a model. Now we will save it in SketchUp format, and this construction will be loaded into SketchUp. You can set the level of detail. So if you choose lower level of detail, then of course, smaller model size will be generated. In case of high level of detail, all the profiles with the holes in it will be exported to SketchUp. And then in SketchUp, you will have a nested object hierarchy here. So you will have the possibility to modify it, explode it. So it is a quite intelligent object at the end. Just here I note that for the previous video where I have created this construction, where I had the possibility to save the model, to export the model as a SketchUp file, this was the standalone text ready. And you could see that there is no difference between the Text3D running in Revit or in the Text3D standalone version. And then a next detailed definition possibilities that I create again a complex construction. So it will be a shop front, which is quite big, and I would like to represent it with 3 independent constructions. So I define the sizes at the beginning, the sizes of the axis, and now I change these profiles to construction boundaries, and it will generate a stacking up construction. So that creates 3 independent constructions, and then I can continue the design as before. For just a further trick, with the profile menu, now I have opened little icons on the screen where you can define neutral profiles between or on the surroundings of the construction. So in these settings, the neutral profiles are available, but we can, the same way we can manage also trims like seals or covers or flashings. So now you can see, you can select the icon, and then you will have the choice on the side, define the sizes, and now you can also define, choose the right profile out from the list and modify your construction. So that means although we have very simple definition methods, you can even design quite a complex construction this way. And now I stop for a moment, so you can see that is the export settings dialog for windows and doors. It is a little bit different to the Revit, to the curtain wall. So here you can modify also the gaps around your construction, top, bottom, left, right, and you can also override the material settings, and you can export it in different families like windows, doors, or you can also create families what you can place into curtain walls. Just a few sentences. You have also a possibility to manage the attributes. So there are some attributes what we manage automatically with the construction. These are the basic performance information of the construction. But of course, while the BIM modeling and design with BIM methods, architects have their own attribute sets. So we are prepared to connect these Text3D software with existing attribute sets that you would like to have in your families. And these sets will be placed and saved with the Revit families. And you can also create your own attributes without the need of opening the families in the family editor. But if you had opened the construction in family editor and added attributes to it, modification in Text3D will not delete these attributes. So parallel the modification and the definition of these constructions in Text3D, you can manage your attributes either on the family editor or here in the Text3D user interface. And now we will place it in Revit. So now we place this door construction in Revit. And what you could see in terms of the curtain walls, now you can see in case of windows and doors. So in high level of detail, you can see the profiles. And also in 3D, you can see the simplified profiles. But the simplified profiles will still allow you to see the characteristics of the constructions. So all geometry settings and everything will be visible, which shows that it is a Tecna construction. So these were the videos for Revit, and the software has still more further options, what I could not show you in that short time. These videos, what we will have on the YouTube, shows you all the details about the possibilities. So please download the software, try it, and play with it. And if you have any question, don't hesitate asking us. And now I will show you some highlights about the AutoCAD library, what we have. It will be only one video showing the possibilities. So in AutoCAD, instead of a configuration tool, we have an AutoCAD library. AutoCAD users are working with different approach than Revit users. So in AutoCAD, they are used to very intelligent door window library parts. The AutoCAD library itself allows a lot of configuration possibilities. So our concept was that we provide the same configuration possibilities in the Technal library as the AutoCAD library has, extended with the Technal profiles and the Technal possibilities. So this video shows you, if you load the AutoCAD library in AutoCAD, what options do you have to define a simple window element. So now you can change the overall dimension. At the end, the same configuration is happening here than in the Text 3D, but with the standard well-known AutoCAD environment. So the AutoCAD users will realize that these are the standard AutoCAD library dialog boxes, and at the end we generate a scale sensitive or a user. I'm sorry, I was too slow with the explanation. Here you can see that we are changing the Technal profiles in the window, the sash profiles and the frame profiles. And we can also set the glass thickness here, and the window will follow these modifications in 2D and in 3D. So the previous sentence that I could not finish was that with a standard we will generate the models in different level of details, which can be highlighted either with the level of detail settings, or you can also see them scale sensitive. So these are the standard AutoCAD functionalities. So about the AutoCAD library, I could have spoken as much as about the Revit one. It is not exactly the same, but a lot of features are available here. So please download the AutoCAD library if you are using AutoCAD, and you can also watch videos on our YouTube channel how the AutoCAD library can be used. So now I'm at the end of the presentation, and I will show you how you can download Text 3D. So please scan the QR code and you will get directly to the Text 3D download page. And if you sign up this form, you will get the download link for Text 3D, and you can use it for 30 days. And after 30 days, you can ask at the same place with the second menu an activation code, which we will generate for you and send to you. And then here is a QR code for the YouTube channel. So please scan it. I would suggest to scan it and not to type in the long link for the channel and the playlist. And here you can find all the 21 videos about Text 3D and about the Technal AutoCAD library. So thank you very much for your time and for your patience and for your interest. So I'm happy answering your questions.
Thank you so much, Thomas, for your wonderful presentation. It was really a good insight into Text 3D and the possibilities which we can do with Text 3D. I also have to point out that the Text 3D tool can also be used for metal builders, and it's a great tool for them to directly connect to the tech design software, which is the fabricate metal builder software for estimation and so on and so forth. So it's a good link and good synergy and good communication between the designer and the metal builder. So thank you, Thomas, for your wonderful presentation. Isha, can we take some questions quickly? We are just about 10-15 minutes to close the session. If you'd like to take some questions, and we can do that.
Hi, Thomas. Thank you so much. It was really very informative, and Tech 3D is really one of the boons of our industry. Ready designs, ready to import the drawings directly into the Revit or SketchUp. So, absolutely wonder. So, we have some questions on Tech 3D here. Mr. K.R. Suresh is asking whether we support the facade contractors in case the project drawings are in BIM. So, I think better than Tamas, Arvind can say, yes, we do support them. We can directly, if the drawings are in BIM, we can integrate them into the project drawings and help them with the execution of the same. Am I
Okay,
right?
that was the good political answer. The real answer is that, of course, yes, but basically Text3D is containing the catalog solutions. It has the
Yes,
profiles
yes.
for the catalog solution, but it is an open solution. So it has its not very simple, but easily extendable database where we can extend it. And we have these needs, and we are continuously preparing and making some adaptations of project solutions. So we are open to do that, but we also have to consider what we will provide to the architects who are working with the standard constructions, and what we provide to metal builders or facade designers who would like to work on project solutions. So we are open to extend X3D with project solutions, but of course it's not an automated solution, so it will require negotiations.
I see
Okay,
also
great.
Eugene
Thanks.
answered some of the questions directly on chat. But
Yeah.
if any question missed out, for both Eugene and Thomas, I think we still have another 5 minutes. We can have the questions.
Yeah. So there's another question from Praveen Chaube. He's asking, are connection details also available?
Okay. Yes, so we manage flashings and covers and sills in terms of windows and doors, and we also manage the gap between the wall, hole, and the construction. So this could be a good starting point for the detailed drawings, but we do not manage all of them.
Okay.
Another thing is that from Text3D, either the Revit platform or the standalone, we can anytime easily generate horizontal and vertical cross sections with all the real profiles and profile names, which we export in DWG or DXF, what they can continue working with in AutoCAD or any other CAD software.
Okay, so I see there are a lot of other technical questions directed at both of you. Since we cannot take all the questions, we would try to answer them separately and send them across to you. I think it's possible, Arvind.
Yes, we can collate all the questions and send it across to Eugene and Thomas, and they could answer them directly. Not a problem at all. There's one
Okay, there's
question.
another, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead, sir.
Okay, so there's another question from Milward Shami. Can we use Revit for quantity takeoff? I think it's a Revit question.
I think I answered that question. Sorry, I'm stepping
Okay.
here.
Okay, please, sure.
There was a quite. I mean, as Thomas was speaking, I was listening. I was everything, but I also have replied on about 19 questions in Q&A sessions by typing. I can multitask. So go and check these answers, and that the question that she was answered. But I'll expand on that. I don't think that will be ever the case. I mean, for the takeoff, yes, but not for the pricing. I think the question was more about, wherever the prices will be available in Revit. I don't think that will be the case, because it depends on the project, type of people, type of customs law in the country and everything. And so I don't think that will ever be the case, but I may be wrong. I was wrong before, as my director says all the time.
Yes, pricing is a different question, but collecting for pricing and making a schedule with the components that is possible. So we generate standard and native Revit families and system families and savable families, and with standard Revit schedules, you can collect all the information about windows, doors, about the components of the curtain walls. So I would say they are fitting into the project concept of Revit. And if you use Revit for making BIM of materials or on any schedules or even pricing, then it can be a part of that, that system.
Okay.
So one question from Atifa, what is the level of detail in 3D model in Revit, which you're providing?
I would say it is LOD 300, I assume. So our concept was that we would like to keep the model size low and the time of generations fast, but we keep everything which is required to see from outside the profiles, how a Technal construction is looking like. So, so I think, let us say it is 300 or 350.
Isha, do you have any more questions? I know there are a lot of questions, but anything?
There are a lot of questions. We have opened about 68 questions. So I think the best way is to collate them and send them across to both of them for their individual answers, and
Brilliant.
we can send them across.
That would be fantastic.
Just want to let you know that I've just dropped it in chat. There will be far more videos from us to come going forwards, and
Yes.
I believe that the videos is the main tool to contain and communicate text, visuals, images, 3D details, and as well as pretty much everything. And this will be the future facade will be in videos, and there will be that's for us as we started doing the 3D details, as you know, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, properly, like everything is a 3D detail. The same way we're going to be leading the industry right now by doing a lot of videos, and that'll be a lot of educational videos, because we realized there's a lack of resources. We need to educate quite a lot of people, so just to be able to hire the right people, and that will be all these educational content will be on my on our portal. I don't know how to say it, like educational thing. It's going to be eugenecorp.com. Go there, register there for the future, and probably there will be some more about Revit, and who knows, we're going to be maybe doing some Technal Tech 3D overview as well. We don't know. I mean, Arvind hasn't had that.
Absolutely. I mean, please let us know.
We're waiting for the invitation.
Absolutely.
We would love to do more workshops on this wonderful platform of Tech 3D and Revit and the whole BIM solutions. Please let us know. You have our email. You can write to us, and then we can collect everybody and we can do another online workshop. Absolutely fine. And also to all the architects and developers out there, if you have a specific project where you want to explore digitalization, if you want to use Revit, and if you want to make your project in a digital format, let us know. We would be happy to support and work on certain customizations also for you. With that, there are more questions coming in. It is loading in. We're going to collect all these questions, share it to Thomas and Eugene, and we will have them answered to you. Meanwhile, I come back and I share my screen. My desktop is much cleaner now. Okay, so we have two things we would like you to do. One is post this seminar, you will have a link for your survey. Please give us your feedback on the webinar which you have attended today. That will be great. And I also take this opportunity to announce our second episode, which will happen on the 20th of April, exactly next week, same time. This will be on a very important topic, and I'm really glad that we picked this topic on sustainability, sustainable facades, and circular economy. Today, we've already seen the impact of having less cars and less flights. It is really opened up the environment. It's much greener, much better air quality. So our next topic will be all about how we can ensure our facades can be more sustainable. We have two wonderful speakers who will join us, Mika Pawelka from Friedemann and Manuel Revela, our colleague who's head of sustainability for Asia and also product manager for Hydro Building Systems Asia. There is a new registration link for this. It's flashing on your screen right now. And also we will send to all the audience the YouTube link for today's session. The session is already recorded. It's available on the cloud. We will send you that links as well. Once again, thank you very much for our speakers, Eugene and Thomas, for taking out their time today. It's been wonderful to have you both. Any last parting words, Eugene?
No, thank you very much for inviting, and I hope that there's going to be more in the future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eugene. Thomas, any parting words from your side?
Yes, I also thank you very much for inviting, and good luck and good work.
Thank you, Thomas. Isha, my co-host, who's been wonderful, patient to take all the questions. And today, a few parting words from you, Isha.
Thank you so much, Thomas and Eugene. It was really very helpful of both of you to be sparing your time. And really a grand thank you to all the audience who, despite of the lockdown and the lazy routine, took out the time and attended this session. For any questions, anytime during the day, night, you guys are free to call in, send in an email, send a message, send a WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever. We are available everywhere. And all your questions are most welcome. And regarding the questions that have already been opened, we will try our level best to answer all of them and send across to you. Also, the recording of this session will be available soon, and we will share with all of you guys shortly afterwards. Thank you again. Thanks a lot once again.
Thank you, Isha. Thank you all, and thank you, participants. See you again on the next episode, 20th of April. Bye for now. Good evening.
Bye for now. See you on 20th again. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye, guys. Bye.